Welcome to 30 Minute Reviews. I am Adam. Now, I'm going to talk about a movie that you've probably heard me talk about before. I've never seen it, but if you listen to Beware of Spoilers, you know that I feel like I've definitely talked about the trailer for it, because this trailer was attached to fundamentally every movie that came out in summer of 2018. Was it 2018? This is a 2018 movie. Well, it was either 2018 or 2019. Either way, just about every movie that came out, it was 2018, had this trailer attached to it. And it had a huge cast, star-studded, directed by Drew Goddard, and it had an interesting concept where, it's about, what happens at this hotel. And I'm talking about Bad Times at the El Royale. And really, it's a pretty concise story. And it does a lot with a very tame, very kind of like narrow focus story about this woman's going to sing at a what's it called at a club in Reno. So she stops in at this hotel. There's a priest. He stops in the hotel because he's not really a priest. I'm going to spoil the movie a little bit because the movie's 2 years old, and if you haven't watched it yet, the reason why you should watch it isn't exactly the story, but there are a few other things we're going to go into that are a reason why you watch it. Because the story is pretty straightforward. It's pretty interesting the way they unfolded. He goes to he robbed a bank in the past, and he's posing as a priest to recover the money, but he's got Alzheimer's, so it's not really he's not all there. You have that's Jeff Bridges. Then you have two sisters who come to the hotel. One sister helped the other escape a cult and is now basically kidnapped the other sister because she's been brainwashed by the cult. The hotel, as it turns out, the entire time was a front for the CIA to collect information about various people who stayed there and establish blackmail material. And you have an agent for that going on there. There's the the attendant who works the front desk, and then Chris Hemsworth has a great role as the cult leader. Now, pretty simple plot where it's like everyone kind of comes to the hotel for their reason, and then everything kind of goes to hell because it starts to unravel and it starts to and everyone else starts to get together. It's kind of framed almost as like the way you would frame a murder mystery, where it's like you'll get what I'm saying when you watch the movie. And I think that the interesting way that this is that it's kind of like a book. The movie, it's portrayed almost like a book, where when you read a book, you have what's it called? Information is exposited to you, the reader, as it's necessary for you to have it. And movies do it too, to an extent, but movies can sometimes follow a more fluid chronological approach than it is information relevant to you closer to when the information is relevant to you. Which makes sense if you think about it, because like in a movie, it needs to make logical sense for viewing, while in a book, it's more fluid in when it's relevant. So because of how long a book is and how much you're consuming as a reader, having it closer to when it's relevant makes more sense in a book than it does in a movie, because the movie's a more concise time. Either way. So one of the things that this movie does is, as it unfolds the information, it reveals it. And that's for better or for worse, because you can go either way on why that's good or why that's bad for a movie, because it's like, doing that in a movie kind of, it feels like less earned when these moments happen, but at the same time, it's like, are they going to just lump in a bunch of exposition about the backstory of these characters when, okay, I don't really care in the beginning, but now that we've hit an emotional crux for, say, the what's it called, for the what was his role, the bellboy, once we hit his emotional crux in the story, like, are we going? It's better to do that at that moment than it is to do that because it adds to the emotion of the moment. But at the same time, if you don't do that, what ends up happening is if you don't do that, you're expecting people to like wait until the last possible second. Like, you're expecting people to remember that later on in the movie. Now, the other thing that is interesting about it is the movie is really carried by the acting performances because of how straightforward the plot is and how, as the plot goes along, you can kind of pick up what happens. Especially considering how heavily marketed the movie was, and how many times I've seen the trailer. You can kind of figure out where the plot is going very early on when John Hamm first goes and interacts with the two sisters who are like there. You can kind of figure out what the plot of the movie is. You can't figure out the third act, because the third act was not something I anticipated ever. But you can kind of figure out where it's going. This is a movie that I regret not seeing in theaters because it's really cool. It was really well done, and it's a fun movie. And I feel like a lot of people slept on it. If you have not watched Bad Times at El Royale, I definitely recommend you watch it because it's such a good, like, it's not like aggressively good to the point where it should have gotten Oscar nominations, but it's a good original movie, and like they could do an anthology series about things that happened at the El Royale Hotel, backstory on the blackmail and extortion schemes going out of the with the CIA. There's a lot of ground that could be covered in this movie in a possible sequel. So it's interesting to see if they ever do that, or if not. I don't think this movie had the commercial viability they were hoping for. But look, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. So we'll wrap up there for today. And we'll be back with more later this week.